Hi everyone, it's Franklin with GotALotOfDance.com, and today I'm very honored to be hanging out with Steve Zener, who is the founder, the director of the Frezno Dance Classic, which this year is its 26th year.
26.
Well, congratulations on that. Last year was your milestone at 25.
Had a big party.
Big party?
Yeah, that was a real milestone and a great event last year. So we're going to start on the second set of 25 now this year.
Second set, good.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing you started when you were in kindergarten. So there.
Well, I was probably third or fourth grade. Wasn't quite that far back, but 1984.
1984.
When country was just starting to go through the roof, and Urban Cowboy had been a tremendous hit. Yeah. The event started out as an all-country dance event, and stayed that way for 8 or 10 years. But country really, it was, I think, the most popular music form in that era. And there was a country nightclub somewhere in every town USA.
Right.
So it was a great time to jump in with both feet and start a great dance festival.
So then it was in the 90s that you incorporated West Coast swing.
Yes.
So early 90s.
Yes.
And how did that happen?
Well, I'm going to give credit to Tom Maddox more than anybody else, if there was any one person, because our dance festival circuit started with Central and Northern California primarily, and one day a fellow from Southern California came up to Northern California. I think he actually went to Reno, and where all of us were gathered in for a festival there. And he was doing a dance that none of us had seen, and it was West Coast swing. And within 2 or 3 years, everybody was lining up to get West Coast swing lessons. So by the early 90s, West Coast swing had really made its mark in the country events. So I'm not talking just the Frezno event. There was 8 or 10 events in California, Nevada, and Arizona by that time. So we made way. Some of us made more room for West Coast swing than other events did, but it was in the early 90s that I really opened the door and started featuring West Coast swing competitions in a separate dance area for West Coast swing, and it's just grown and grown and grown all of these years.
Because your dance classic, you have one room for the West Coast swing and one room for the country, right?
Country, right.
And right. So I don't know much about country dancing. What are some of the similarities? How is it easy to cross over from one to the other?
Well, I think I'm going to say yes, because it was evident that in the 90s, a lot of country people made the transition across and started filling the ranks of swing dance festivals. And it came at a great time in the West Coast swing world that there was an older generation that was starting to thin itself out through attrition, and so then along comes a younger group of country dancers who had taken up West Coast swing, and so that became their love. And you'll see many of those today at swing dance festivals, and we won't see as many dyed-in-the-wool swing dance fans at a country festival. It doesn't quite work the other way around.
Go the other way.
But there's a lot of folks that enjoy West Coast swing that have learned a two-step, and that's evident by when we go to a swing dance festival and a two-step comes on.
Right.
Those people came from somewhere.
Right.
So everybody's having fun.
And yeah, so you were the MC last night, and I noticed that when the two-step came on, the floor stayed pretty full.
Yes.
There was a lot of people that went into it. And do you see that the country crowd has affected the West Coast swing dance? Have they changed it?
I think that if you stand out of the box and look at both worlds, there are wonderful people in both worlds. The thing that was maybe unique about the country dance group, the people that were that filled the ballrooms at country dance festivals, those people back in the day were beer drinking, regular folks, hard-working folks that just seemed to have a real appetite for getting out and having fun and a lot of camaraderie.
Right.
to the point of antics and pranks and dressing up silly, and it sounds a little silly, but I do think that they
sounds like a lot of fun.
They knew how to have a lot of fun, and they did bring that warmth into the swing world. There's a lot of wonderful people in the swing world as well, but the people that came into this in the last 10 years missed the best of times, I think,
In that crossover?
when dance was just going through the roof and people were having so much fun that you just couldn't wait to get to the next festival. So it's really been a benefit and a blessing to both worlds of dance, that swing found country and that country found swing. It's win-win.
And so stylistically then, have you seen in the West Coast changes, because like moves that were strictly country incorporated in the West Coast, or vice versa?
Oh, I would say that the technique and the finesse in the West Coast swing world has helped the country world, at least with that dance. In the country world, we dance 8 dances, not just one. So West Coast swing is just one of those dances. And so the sophistication of West Coast swing in its purest form has translated into much better West Coast swing dancing in the country world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, 1984, I'm going to take a step back. What made you start the Frezno Dance Classic?
I really was blessed to be in the right place at the right time, with a little bit extra time on my hands. I was a member of a dance group there. There was, as I said earlier, there was, back in that era, there were country nightclubs in every town all across America, with often a dance team comprised of just social dance people. There weren't professionals and amateurs and 4 different categories of dancers. Everybody was very much the same.
Right.
There was better dancers than others, but everybody went out and danced with everybody and had a great time. It was all about just dancing, the music, and having fun. But because every saloon or nightclub, and not every, but many, had a dance team, those dance teams thought it would be a cool idea to go somewhere and perform where there's other dance teams. And so I just happened to be in this dance club, president of this dance club, when the first event took place in Reno, Nevada. A fellow up there invited several of these dance teams because he was traveling around to these clubs in Northern California and Central California. And they all went up and performed at a nightclub in Reno. And from that, I was just lucky to be part of a dance club that happened to have a nightclub in a hotel with a ballroom. So we had a huge room that would hold 1,000 people with a stage, as well as a nightclub downstairs. And so I decided that maybe this would be a good thing if we invited people to come to Frezno, and they did. And we had about 650 or 700 people show up
for the
that
first
year.
Wow, that's great.
And it grew into probably 800 for the next 3 or 4 years. And then when West Coast Swing and Southern California came into the picture in the early 90s, even the late 80s, our numbers got up to be about 1,000 dancers every year.
That's great.
So it's been a great run.